All right, are we live? We have a little poll up. Manchester's providing us with some fairly standard Manchester acoustics, if you can hear the sirens in the background. All right, let's get clamped in and rocking. Did the screen just go blank while I shared what we're doing live in Instagram, by the way? The link between the two is thoroughly unintuitive, and I will say that Instagram Lives are far more user-friendly, from a phone at least, than YouTube is. But we work with what we've got, and it's good to reach people on both platforms. How many of you follow us on Instagram, by the way? Okay. Get into position. Yes, you do follow us on Instagram. Okay, I think that position is not too bad. We're going to be taking a look at the sickle. Morning, pushing afternoon now, I think. Well, for us at least it is. Depends where you are from, David. So we're going to be looking at the blade today. In the background, just hopped into focus, you can see that I've got an NMM blade here. I didn't actually paint this. So Mikito painted this. Looks really nice. So that's what we're going to be trying to kind of emulate. I think I'm going to go for... I do like the fact that he's got like coppery bronze on there, and I think it works. We've got an oceany theme, and I think if you think of like deep sea diving and verdigris and everything, I do think it's quite a good idea to have some copper involved. So I'll probably just go for exactly like the blade in the background. At least I'll do the hilt and the detailing around there. I'll do in copper, and I'm going to do the rest in silver, but I'm going to try and keep it kind of to a particular type. I don't know what that type will be. We haven't planned ahead, but I know what silver I'm going to use. So I think probably I'm just going to do the silver first because that's quite an easy bit for me. I'm going to use Vallejo Game Silver, which is one of my favorites. So like a very neutral silver. And then over that, we're going to be layering mini color. So this should go pretty well. Let's have a little look at what we're dealing with. I just need to get everything I need out. If anyone has questions about what I'm using or why, let me know. I'm using mini color here, and these are the paints that we worked on along with coat of paint, and they are wonderful. They're really, really good. So yeah, any questions, let me know. You can still back them on Kickstarter now. You can get in with a late pledge, even though the campaign has ended. And that means that you'll be part of the first wave of people to receive the paints, and you'll get them for a good price as well. All right then, the numbers are going up. I don't know if it is this I need to do this, so I'd be doing it regardless, but is this a popular subject? How do people treat their metallics? How do people do them? Is it something that people are afraid of? I love metallics personally. I really thoroughly enjoy metallics. All right, let's get this in the background. I don't think I'm going to be needing any of the paints over there, apart from perhaps black. All right then. So I'm going to make a mix for my base coat, and it's going to be, hey buddy, is this a better time for you? We've been doing them generally mornings, but I know that that might not work for some people. So I'm going to be adding some paints to this. I want to think carefully about what those paints are. I've got certain colors that are present all the way throughout this paint job so far. This is one of them. This is Midnight. So that's going to be involved, and straight away that means we're talking about a cool steel. I have the option to use jade a little as well, and these are the colors that are already on the mini. It might be a bit much, but I can always tinker with it afterwards. We are going to be using glazes here anyway. Probably I'm going to use black glazes quite a lot. Just kind of pull things down. Something not corny. Is that, I don't know what that means. Is that in reference to us? Is that in reference to the entirety of the internet? Because you're going to struggle for the entirety of the internet to be not corny, aren't you? Anyway, hopefully this is an interesting subject for people. If you've got any questions, so non-metallic metal, that means, so this one is painted without metallic paints. It's just painted to look metallic. It's painted with white, black and gray, essentially. We have the option to try that, and we could absolutely try that because I could just copy that one, which makes it way easier. It's much easier copying NMM if you're not experienced at it. But I'm going to be doing this in true metallic metal. I think we've got the votes up, so true metallic metal it is. Goldfish, your life sounds hectic. So midnight's out, jade's out, and first of all, before we start anything, we're just going to experiment. We're going to see what colors look good with each other, and hopefully that is going to help us. So let's just begin our testing. So we've got a very bright silver here. Zoom in a little bit. Indoor bike training session today. Cool. All right, so we've made blue steel. Very, very beautifully there. This is going to be quite a frequent use for midnight, I guess, because it just works instantly. It kind of pairs up with metallics very readily. And part of the reason for that is because it's deep in its satin. What paints are good on shells? Whatever color shell you think shells are. So ivory, very, very good. Shells can often have a little bit of colors in that you wouldn't expect. So maybe something like a peach with your ivory color would be a good idea. Or a pastel blue. This is duck egg. Okay, so we're going to add in some black. We're just trying to work our way here to, there we go. I think that's going to be a fantastic starting silver. So it's cold, but it's not too cold. It's bright, but it's not too bright. We've started from a very bright base. So we've afforded ourselves the ability to kind of start with things pretty dark, which is useful because I want very high contrast on this. So let me zoom in a bit more. Rohit, you're not being hidden. I am confused, but I'm very glad that you're an author. I'm a bit confused by what you're saying, though. All right, so I'm just going to get my base coat down. I think I actually want some more black in. I want it to be really dark so that we've got room to work up in terms of the color. And hopefully you're going to see instantly the benefit of us having made our own metallics up, which is that this color is going to be very cool. Literally cool, cold, but also it's just going to be a really, really useful, believable type of steely color. Adding paints to your metallics is a really, really good idea. Kind of generally, it allows you to control them so much more than just using out of the bottle ones. Some out of the bottle ones are great, but I really, really enjoy customizing. Okay, so hopefully it's showing up there. A little bit blue-green. You can late pledge, Big Bear. You absolutely can. If you've got any questions or if you're having any difficulties, I should be able to answer, but you just go to the Kickstarter, click late pledge now, and it should be functioning wonderfully. People have been doing it. They were definitely doing it yesterday. I haven't checked if they were doing it today, so yeah, you should be good. So just getting our base coat down. My prime wasn't perfect, so I'm filling in gaps here. I would have just gone straight into the metallics from black with a heavy overbrush, a dry brush, but I really want to make sure there's nothing in the recesses that stands out as grey plastic, because that is really going to ruin what we're going for. Got a very good start though. Yeah, perfect for Chaos Knights. Absolutely perfect. Lovely models as well, those ones. Add in a bit more black, a bit more silver, a bit more blue. Just got to paint the back of the blade. Grab a little bit more turquoise. It's very easy on models like this to forget that their weapons have a rear. And I probably won't paint this properly at all, but I'm going to at least give it a base coat. I'm going to put in some more black actually, to be very dark and in shadow. Awkward position. That's better. Basically, I just don't want any angle of this to obviously show up that it's unpainted, but if it's just base coated, that is enough. Get these areas while I'm here. Anything's better than literally grey plastic. Cool, okay. I think we've got it from every side, and it's nearly dried, so we're nearly ready to begin. Doing a hand base coat offers a little layer of protection as well, and that makes sure that it's going to be durable while I'm dry brushing it. Can someone verify to help Big Bear out, please? I am very certain. So on the Kickstarter page, the back of the Kickstarter button should have changed to a late pledge now button. I'm just going to use a hairdryer. Pretty cold here in the UK, so things are taking longer to dry than normal. But we have a very good starting point. I'm just going to let this cool down. Hello from Ireland. Thank you. I know, Mike. Could someone confirm is the Kickstarter page missing the late pledge button? I am very certain it is not, but if it is, I need to know about that, and I can get it fixed after this stream. While I'm here, I'm actually going to take the opportunity to base coat this in a bronzy color, just so I can get a decent representation of how it's going to look. But first I have to, there we go. So I'm going to grab Screaming Bell. I'm not aiming to like finish it at all, but it's really useful for me to put two colors next to each other at this stage. Thank you, Robin. Big Bear, you're blind. Happens to the best of us. So yeah, just head to it, and on the right hand side of the page, I believe, this is from memory though, rather than me checking it out now, there should be a button. If you're on phone or something, it might be less intuitive to find. There's a very good chance of that. All right, get some of the Screaming Bell down. So you can see that I've just straight up mixed my Screaming Bell with the mix that I was using for the steel, so we should end up with really coherent colors. That is not Screaming Bell enough because my silver is quite strong, but we'll get down a base coat anyway. And I'll fix it in the second coat. Just pretty loose now. The only thing I've got to be careful of is that I don't paint the Great Unclean One's skin, but if I do, it wouldn't be terrible. And again, at the back, my only aim is just to make sure that this is base coated. So once I found my starting color and my base coat, I'll hit up the back, and then we won't need to touch the back again. I haven't seen that link, Robin, so YouTube might have like adminned your link away, which is fair because You could have anyone coming in and linking anything. All right. Thank you for assisting the bear there, or trying to at least. Okay, so already we are seeing the potential of this. Would people prefer if I was closer in, by the way? I'm just going to change my camera's angle a little. Problem with metallics is that they're shiny. That's better, isn't it? I feel that's better. Hopefully it is. Second coat, I'm going to go for much more. Okay, right. What we need to do now is I'm going to end up painting over this, by the way, but I just wanted to see how they are together. The reason I'm going to paint over this is because I'm going to be dry brushing the silver and it's just going to be impossible to protect it. Brilliant. All right. So we have the option to have these be bronze, the skulls in the middle of the blade, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. What I can do is just paint all of it, and then if we don't like how it looks, then we just paint them separately, which is the same amount of work anyway, literally. So, time for dry brushing metallics. So I'm going to be using Series D. 1 drop of water off the back of the brush into the dampening pad. Wasn't quite enough, a little bit more. Test. So now I'm going to take a little bit of our silver and a little bit of our turquoise, and I'm just going to make a mix-up. This is a very strong paint, so I'm being careful not to put too much on the brush. Right, we've got some, and a bit of the blue. Right. First test stroke. We're looking pretty good. I think I'm actually going to go much more neutral, and I'm going to do the rest with color. So swiftly abandon course. That's okay. I'm going to bring it up to pretty bright, and then what we're going to do is we're just going to put in that color with glazes, which is what we're going to be doing anyway, but I do it from the base coat. I'm just going to do it with glazes. No worries. Absolute pleasure. Happy to help. There we go. This should be enlightening for a few people, I think, because people have these worries about doing high quality metallics, and I think they're generally just not very justified. Like, metallics are wonderful, they're super fun, and they're very, very fast if you've got a few little tricks up your sleeve, and we have many tricks up our sleeves. So pretty much got that looking solid. That is a good question, Parchek. It's these paints, for sure, because they've been the hardest. I'm very satisfied with Series D, and I think the rest of the industry is because they've copied it. So, is that a good answer? I like all of our products. We've brought out a few, but we've definitely discussed a lot more than have been released. I think the eggs are wonderful, the painting handles that we do, and again, they're already being copied in terms of their shape. So if we're taking, you know, how influential things have been, then I guess the ones that have been copied the most have been the most influential. So it is Nurgle. Right, glazing. So we very quickly got to a stage there that looks passable. What I want to do, and we can do this by involving washes, but I'm not going to involve them just yet, is I want to start putting some more interest into this blade, and we're going to do that by putting color and contrast in. I don't mean contrast paints, I mean dark and light contrast. Take some of our black. Now, the first wash is normally the one that is kind of the most tricky to get right, so we're going to be careful with it. I can test it over silver on my palette and make that dirty, like dirty blue. Yeah, that's a pretty good color for us to pop in some definition. So what I'm going to do is just everywhere that is, like I can see if I hold the model upside down, morning from Kentucky, hello there, I'm just going to start pushing some color upwards. And this does not need to be super precise at all. It's a really textured blade. You can see in the background here, I literally one that I can copy. So it shouldn't be too hard for us to get away with things not being like mega smooth. You could airbrush from below as well if you wanted. Pretty much for the same dilution, same paints. What you should see is that even by the first pass, is this showing up? I imagine it is. Even by the first pass, things are going to get more defined. And the more passes we've done, the quicker we can go, the more confident we can be, but also the paint's going to start drying out faster over itself. I'm going to get the hairdryer out initially though. If it was summer or if I was not in the UK, I wouldn't have needed to do that, but it's definitely not summer. Okay, I can also exaggerate pitting at this stage. We're painting a really textured piece, so a few dabs will go a very long way. These colors are amazing. They're just so good for glazing. Anything that you go over, like edges, don't worry about it. You can fix it after this very easily. I do have the skulls to deal with as well, so I'm going to have to be a bit more general on those, I think. Oh, a hair. Is that showing up? I think it is by the looks of the camera. You might have too much on your brush, but our range has very, very good dilution traits and mixing traits, so it is really helpful for glazing. It was, it's not like it was a core principle for us, but mixability and the ease of use and the fact that we're satin, they have all been priorities since very early on, so it's quite easy for us to get what we want out of the range in terms of glazing behavior. It's very, very helpful. We're not ultra matte, and I think that makes it a bit more forgiving as well. Generally speaking, the ranges that behave really well on wet palette are also quite helpful for glazing. So I'm being pretty loose here. Anything that I do too heavily, I can just fix with a finger. And the fact that I can exaggerate the pitting at the same time that I can do this is just very efficient. So already our blade is looking pretty good. I've got a really good hairdryer. It took me a few attempts. You want one with a loop. You want one which you can easily make cold, because sometimes you need to cool your minis down after drying them, and it needs to be not too big. Mine just hangs on a bit of my lamp actually. Oh, paint on the back of my finger. That would go very badly. I don't know why we have Tamiya out. As wonderful as extra thin is. Okay, right. Building it beautifully. Has anyone been following Cult of Paints? Super heavy challenge, by the way. Henry's painting a very big tank in our paints. Good place to go if you want to see them being used with airbrush. Okay, so we already have pretty obvious shading going on the metallics here. And even though I'm obscuring previous work, that's cool. I've now decided where my shading is going to be and how it's going to be, so I'm a little bit more confident. Look at it off camera, give it a hair dry. Very simple matter now of adding a little bit more black. That's a lot more black. It's an overpowering amount. There we go. Bit more water. Test. It's testing for how strong it is, but also the amount that's on the brush. There is still too much on the brush. So I'm just going to put it in the darker areas for now. See if it sorts itself out. If not, I will remove some. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'll take the opportunity to wash all of this area. You can hear someone with a very loud engine in Manchester city centre. Okay. I follow plenty Parchek. Do you know Bohan? He's Polish. He was one of my big influences. As a painter, I'm always interested in seeing what he does. I think we enjoy the same things, so and he's very, very talented. He's got a really wonderful grasp of colour. I think he said that he doesn't really have any natural talents. He's a hard worker, but maybe one of his natural talents would just be having a really good grasp of cool colours to use together. I love his work. I think it's wonderful to look at, and I've seen him work in person. It's very impressive, and he's been impressive for a long time as well. So, you know, he's been influential to me. I always want to mention him. Colt, I always like seeing what Andy's up, and I have the privilege of him, you know, giving me the inside story on stuff while he's working on it. That's really interesting. I got to see Maxime's work at Monte. Just gone, and he's mind-blowing, as is Albert, who won the Slayer Sword this year. So yeah, there's plenty. We're not low on sources of inspiration in this industry, and people share what they're doing as well online, so it's cool. It's cool. It's nice to keep up to date. Hi, Tiny Tank. All right, so I'm going to speed up what I'm doing now a little bit. Honestly, the weather is actually slowing me down a bit here because it's so cold. And obviously the UK is humid too, so if you live in hot climates, you might find blending harder or using your airbrush, but there are some pluses. Your glazes are going to dry super quick between layers. It's literally the difference between having to use a hairdryer and not. Not that I mind too much, but it would speed me up about twice as fast. So just stacking them on top of each other now. And hopefully what you can see is this is already reading as like it's being lit. Parchek 100%. Although a lot of people have been very good for a long time. Like you look at Maxime, his work has been, he doesn't do a lot, but he just thinks incredibly well about his pieces. And if you look at the output of some of the really peak level painters, they've been really good for a long time. Right. Okay, so we got ourselves to a pretty good stage, quite fast actually. Just gonna wash my brush, and then we're gonna add a little bit of dry brushing with the silver again. I'm really careful. My silver's a bit old, so it's a bit thicker than it would be. Normally this is a very physically thin paint, and that's helpful. See, not much is coming off. And from the top, only coming from top to bottom, especially at the beginning. Tilting the blade around so I can hit all the right angles. I'm actually going to put my finger behind the bristles. There we go. Okay, looking pretty good. I still need to exaggerate that further, I think. Taking it off camera, it looks really, really good, not under the harsh light that this is going under. So if you're looking for how to do fast tabletop ready work, glazing isn't like a speed technique, but it's much quicker than people think. Way faster. Get a bit more black. I might even get a smaller brush, but we'll see if I think I need it. And I want to put some really dark dots in the bits that I like to be in the most shadow. Probably going to go over these with blue once I put them down too. And all of the pitting, now I want to pick it up with this. So we're literally dotting these. I have no mediums in here, this is just water. And I'm not too worried about tidal marks or anything like that. Now is the stage when I wonder if I want to put some rust on the blade. I am still undecided. It's looking pretty good. Okay, blue. Still mixing it with the black and the turquoise and the same bit on the palette. But especially going over the black, it shouldn't be too extreme. This isn't really glazing now. I was pretty loosey-goosey with that, but it's fine. Hey, Darren. I just add paint into soft shade colors. So I'll use like GW's sepia tone, and I'll put like purple into it, and then I don't need to worry about ratios too much. I would thoroughly recommend people try that out as well, because adding paints into shades is especially for army painting, is pretty much a superpower. It's a speed hack, and it can make your stuff look very good very fast. All right. Okay, pretty effective. Again, I'm going to water this down and just wash it over what we've got here. I think I'm going to add some rust. So given that we've got blue steel, I'm going to take a bit more of the silver. Make sure anywhere that sticks out has been hit. I'm fighting the fact this has been primed twice, but it still turned out pretty well. And now I'm going to add a little bit of rust in. We'll start from mahogany. And because this is warm and everything else we've done has been cold or neutral, this should stand out pretty easily. This is very warm. I might actually, I'm going to put a bit of blue in just to calm it down a bit. Okay. Super cool colors. And especially in black, this should show up quite nicely. So this is a nice excuse if any areas are getting really dark and you don't know what to do about it. Rust is really useful from a painting perspective. I do not know, Parchek. I'm undecided on that myself, actually. Good question. How are you doing, Darren? You good? My screaming bell has seen better days. I think some of GW's metallics just they don't like cold weather, especially if they've not been used for a long time. So we'll see what we can get out of it. We're going to have to pull this right back in terms of color, but that's okay. Better to go too bright and then have to go backwards, in my opinion at least. So we've already got the silver on. You can actually use it kind of watered down like a wash. And the raised areas would be more silverish anyway, so it's quite a good way to conveniently get around what is a pretty lazy, low quality application. See what I mean? It just looks realistic. Good example of how understanding the materials that you're going for and their properties can make painting easier and faster rather than harder and more tricky. And then on this side, I'm pretty much just going to use the paint as a wash. It's in the shadows anyway. Had one slip there, I can fix that afterwards. It's worked his way up his hand. Okay. Oh, poor Darren. Hey, you got exciting times coming up though. All right, let's try out some oxidization colors and see how we're looking. Teal. Definitely on the bluer side of things. So I'm going to get out jade. Is ours dry? Here we've got some jade. Teal and jade mixed together, which has basically made old Games Workshop Hawk Turquoise, if people know that one. Zotac Green these days, but I love this color. And we're going to dilute pretty heavily and then carefully but liberally apply. Yes, we are good. Lazy applications are the best. Metallics are really forgiving with this stuff. You know, we've kind of purposely done a watery base coat 3 times, and we're already looking quite realistic. 3 kilograms of Parma violets. If anyone's ever seen like effectively painted tournament armies, we are absolutely taking the approach of painting to a tournament deadline with this. We want this to be a centerpiece, but we're trying to cut corners in the right places, still enjoy it, and still get it to a good standard. And that's hard. You just got to put a little bit of thought into exactly where you cut them and why you cut them. Okay. Well, this is it's looking old now. I think this has worked out a little bit better than the steel, honestly. So maybe we tie them together with a very dilute. There, I think that's pulled things together a bit. Hairdryer's coming out again, sorry. Thanks for popping in, Darren. Looking pretty good. Very simple for the verdigris on the copper. We're just going to repeat what we've done. Blow my mini to cool it down. Luckily, with it being a sticking out bit, it dries pretty fast. Okay. And then I will get a smaller brush out soon. The aim here is none of this is going somewhere new. This is landing where our previous steps pulled. And it should do a decent job itself if you've got the amount of water in there, of just kind of pulling where it would pull in real life anyway. Sheltered areas. And it would run elsewhere. I do think the skulls would be better in bronze actually. So it's a good thing that we didn't put too much time into them and left that option open. Yeah. Good morning in Texas. That eye is such a wonderful detail. And then if you've seen some areas that have been missed, you can carefully get them, but don't go too crazy. We do need to have some areas that can be hit again though with the lighter ones, so we've got to lay foundations for that. Dot, 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 dot. I should have painted that bell while we were here. Silly. Okay, looking pretty good. While we're here, I am certain that we can upgrade those skulls by turning them bronze, because then we get an excuse for more verdigris. And ultimately, I just love turning anything turquoise. This model probably has given that away already. So again, we're going to apply the bronze as a wash. It'll pull around the silver. And then we'll use our beautiful jades and turquoises to kind of sell that this is really old. Might take a couple of coats, that's all good. The pulling in the recesses won't look very realistic now, but because we're doing weathering, we don't need to fix it or worry about it. We'll catch that afterwards. This is already looking better. Dry it and I'll give it a second coat. Trying to stick to the skulls this time. Nice. And while we're here, catch some edges and areas. I might do a silver dry brush over everything when we finish this, just to give it shiny edges. Grandfather blesses everyone. Thank you, grandfather. I'm holding a puppy here, a grandpuppy. Right. Need to fix a couple of bits that we missed. There we go. There we go. Drybrush comes out again. I think our silver is it's still alive, luckily. And we don't have to worry about where this goes, because if it hits something that's sticking out, that's cool, whether it's bronze or silver. It should just go towards making stuff look that little bit older. And maybe the color was a bit full on the bronze, so we can knock it back with this. Nice. I think everything is tying together a little bit better now. Not perfect, but it's okay. The moment that turquoise goes down, everything starts working that little bit better. Just wipe it off the raised areas. Nice. Hey, we're looking pretty good. It's looking very Nurgle. Right, I want to get a brighter color out for the verdigris. So, or a greener one. The options we have, spearmint, and then aqua. I think mixing these is probably the way to go. Although I want more of the green than the blue. And then also, I'm going to get out our actual color called verdigris because we're going to need it. Quite a bit of white in that, so that's going to be really useful for finishing stages. But we need to be a bit more punchy. Let's take a bit of that. Spearmint. Doesn't quite work. Blue, there we go. So I might get a smaller brush. Thank you, Alpha Legion. I'll take John Cena music anytime. All right, that was far too thick, not diluted. Still is. So what's happened here is because our paint has more white in, it's just doing stronger stuff, whether we want it to or not. So I'm going to go over quickly, wash my brush, then I'm going to kind of mop it up a bit, and then wipe it with a finger. I think that's our sign to drop down to a tiny brush. I'm going to start dotting in more specific areas. So I can pull things out here and mop it up. I can drop it in eyes. And even though the brush is very small, because it's very precise, it shouldn't actually slow anything down, I don't think. There we go. To control, this is a 000, but you could be using a 00 or a normal 0. My brush was wet, but within the back of the brush was too much paint that was stronger than the previous one, and I just hadn't adjusted my behavior appropriately. The moment you got more white in your paints, they behave very, very differently. few little dots here. Any recessed rivulets, like around the eye, are just wonderful. Other areas like this, we're going to have to manually go, and I find it's best to dot. You want to paint dots rather than painting straight lines, because straight lines look a little bit too man-made. Water it right down. And this, there we go, this is safe. So anywhere that has bronze obviously painted in a recess, we now fix it with this. It's going to hide our loose painting. Nice, looking pretty good. Right, I need to jump up really harshly now. So I've taken our paint that is called verdigris. I'm not going to make the same mistake twice in a row, he says. So loads of water. I'll start in an eye. And we'll put in some little dots. Looking pretty ancient. There you go, this is what we need. Very often with this stuff, it just doesn't sell until the final step. The surface is plastic. It's really good fun to paint. I like Cablite as well. So now we got the small brush. All of our loosey-goosey painting can be fixed by being specific. So I'm dropping this like between teeth, in recesses. So we were going fast and loose until this point, and none of it matters because we fix it with being specific at the very end. So it's much easier than being neat all the way through, which is hard work. Nice. I think we are almost done there. Yeah, it's fun, Jake. So it's really hard to not just get into it and then do too much of it. We've all been there. Wonderful. I think that looks great. So the area that I've forgotten at the top of the handle, I'll water down my paint a lot and we'll just kind of dot around now. It should be okay. It will dry looking less extreme than this. Okay, looking pretty cool. Nice, that looks ancient. Hi, Ruth. It is laser cut, high quality MDF. Thank you for answering that, people. All right, we're looking great. That looks fantastic. The model as a whole has really been helped out by having a weapon. And some other details like these tentacles are going to really add a lot as well. I might see if I can do, I'll quickly do some stuff on the tentacle now. I might paint over it later, but people have been asking a lot about our yellows, so I'm gonna do yellow with a bit of purple and brown involved. Maybe it'll work, maybe it won't. Oh, thank you, Ryan. Have you seen the Kickstarter video, or do you literally mean you would like us to do an introduction that includes every paint? That is planned, by the way, and it's a good idea. Right, I've mixed mustard, and I've mixed mahogany. I think it was mahogany. It wasn't mahogany. Auburn. I mixed auburn, and we're just going to base coat tentacle. This is just for testing purposes. Maybe these should be pink, actually. I feel like pink would be a good opportunity to get something bright in there that doesn't look too out of place, as we've already got purple. And pink can come from blue. We'll base coat it anyway. See how it looks. Ah, Andrew. Start stuff you can absolutely just phase our paints in. They play really nicely with others as well. Hi, Apex Nerd from the Black Country. He looks so much better now that his weapon is not blank. I should have painted that bell while I was at it, really, shouldn't I? Rookie mistake. End of the first quarter next year or beginning of the second quarter next year, between March and May. All right. They don't look too bad like that, but I might just test out with some colors while we're here. I think we do need to go from a blue, whatever we do. So hey, that's what you need. A pleasure to be of service, Drew. That sounds good. My sister has just had her first, and so maybe I'll recommend my voice to her. I was speaking to her the other day, and there was definitely some hungry crying in the background. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to base coat these blue at the base, and then I'm going to paint them far too light at the ends, and we're going to see really roughly if that would be a good color combo. I don't know if they want to be like attention grabby or just cohesive. I think they want to be attention grabby pink. Actually, I really do. Yeah. Ruth, are you asking about the Kickstarter, or So we're on negotiations with the German, I believe, company and the various really interesting tax implications of having a EU hub. That's obviously very sarcastic. They were resolved a couple of days ago with lots of apologies from the company who've been handling it or mishandling it for us. So I think that our EU domestic shipping is imminent at this point. If that was your question, if it wasn't, please say again. Hey, I just got a good look at this out of the light, and this goes really well with the rest of the figure. I'm very, very pleased. I think it looks better out of the light than in the light. I don't know what that means for me and my painting, but we have been trying to... Whoa, look at that. Oh, that's lovely. What a color. That is a mix of grape and I think violet. One of our highlight colors. Yeah, Ruth, I'm sorry about that. We thought it was resolved, but it has been an unbelievably frustrating, arduous, and long process. Our US hub took like a quarter of the time to set up, and it's on another continent. We started working with one company in the Netherlands, and they were just terrible, so we had to switch. And then the tax and the Germans, said with love if any of you are German, but the Germans have been very, very slow. However, it's a great place to have a hub, and once it's going, if it's anything like the US one, it should just be like boringly easy and very practical on a day-to-day basis for people getting their orders domestically or from inside the EU rather than our island that's now outside of the EU. Thoughts on that color? Yeah, it does. The light's picking out. I've used white quite liberally in the highlights in this as well. And that's why it looks good in bad light, because it's almost providing its own light. White is controlling things quite a lot, so what do people think of that for tentacles? Is that too different? It's not had like a blue wash and stuff on it yet, so it should look a little bit more cohesive. Once this is decided, I can do all the other tentacles on him as well. That'll look really good. It's nice to still be learning things about this model, which is one of the best GW I've ever made. Way ahead of its time. Yeah, super central for the big 5 European countries that are our most popular ones. That's a good question. What does Byron from 5 years ago tell Byron now? In painting terms, stop worrying about the bits that don't matter on your models. Don't paint underneath their crotch. Don't paint, like behind tabards. And remember that you and other people, what you enjoy looking at is like the main angle, and you're looking at the model from above a bit. So definitely anything that's underneath, like really think carefully about whether it's worth putting time into that. Like this model is showing a very real example, hopefully, of that in question. Like from below it's dark, from above it's light, and therefore from like mid above we get a very good view of it. Let's try base coating one of these. I still feel like maybe they should be yellow or something. We don't, Daryl. I'm sorry, you guys aren't worth it. We have a partner. I'm joking. We have a partner there who's handling things, but it's not a hub, so to speak. The volume of sales isn't high enough. Like the hub we've got in America is incredibly, we're nothing to them. They're an incredibly large business. They're really efficient. They're very nice to deal with, actually. And as long as we don't mind setting up each SKU, each new product, and sending it to them. They just do things super well. How are we thinking about the pink? Hey, we've got our hub in Manchester. That's enough for the UK. The UK's easy. Not only are we from here, but we're quite a small island. Okay, I might be calling it soon. Undecided on the tentacle color. Still, it's going to be an important one. There are plenty of tentacles. There's plenty of boils as well, so we need, or pustules. We need to have a color picked for either of those. But we don't know what it's going to be. Don't like the pink. Yeah. It does or doesn't appear par check. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's right either, for sure. So you don't have to worry about offending me. Let's view him as a whole. Does anyone have any questions about the paints while I'm using them? Let's try putting on some washes with colors that are already on the model. I'll do a suggested highlight as well, quick. Because when you highlight stuff with white, you're lowering the color. So very often you'll make a judgment when the colors are deeper, and actually it won't matter as much when things are finished. So we put this down before we make a hasty decision, just to help us guess. Do you feel different now that it's highlighted at all? Thanks for joining. I'm gherkin for life. That's gherkin mixed with our midnight. Gherkin is it's going to be hard to beat. We're going to try and make only our favorite colors from now on to be added to the range, but there's already a very high bar set. Gherkin is one of those colors that feels magic in use, and that's obviously special. Right, obviously this is very rough painting. Has my quick 3 steps of highlights changed how people feel about it? Ah, that's nice. And thank you for the donation, Parcheck. It's very kind of you. That's a great idea about the lips. And then maybe I could use that to tie in whatever I've got elsewhere. So maybe he should have purpley lips. Good call. I appreciate the donation. So what I've done, if people are interested in why I think this might fix things, is I've taken the same highlight color that I've used everywhere else on the model, which is our lemon, which is a very bright pastel yellow. And I've used it to highlight the purple. And what this brings is it brings coherency. So we've got the same colors in our highlights everywhere on the model. Therefore, even though this is a very different color, it now starts blending in with the rest of the mini. Even though it's really bright and it's on pink, we're cheating. Because we're just pulling things together a little bit. See? Hopefully that's made a bit of a difference. The poll was for non-metallic metal or true metallic metal, and we went for true metallic, real, using metallic colors. Some little dot highlights. I don't know how much it's showing up. Do people think that this is did this work? I think it might have, but I'm not sure. All right, we're going to call the stream there. I think we made some good progress. Just pinch this out. So what do we have? We've ended up with some quite nicely done metallics. That are really shining, literally shining. Looking good with his belly, and his kind of amazing high impact angle is looking really cool as well. My favorite bit of the mini is still this arm. The highlight's just in the right place. He's quite efficient. That was really quick. I spent less time on that arm than I did on any of the other arms or limbs. It turned out better, so it's a really good kind of show of how being neat isn't what's important. Just things being roughly in the right place is important. And things like his boils being highlighted, even though they're out of the light, that's selling that area too. It's also an easier angle to paint well, having painted it before, so that's definitely a factor. All right, well, thank you very much for joining. I probably won't be doing one of these tomorrow because I'm off somewhere, but hopefully you found it useful. Anyone who's still interested in being part of the Mini Color Kickstarter, you can late pledge. They are still available, so check out the it on Kickstarter or by heading to our website. Yeah, you all have a great day. Oh, Robin, I did. There will be some next year. It will be the year of, thank you for reminding me, it'll be the year of cult painting courses. They just need to get them up on the website. So yeah, you'll be very happy. Mini Color is going to make a difference to that because they're very excited to use it. We are very excited to use it, all of us. So yeah, you can hope to see plenty of courses going up from Cult, and they're going to be traveling more internationally to cons as well, including Henry. So yeah, more courses will be up. All right, have a lovely rest of your day, guys. Goodbye.